province-wide, want to have everybody clearly understand that this is not a negative event against francophones in any way, shape, or size. We also would like to thank a lot of people who helped organize this, and I think what I'll do now is introduce our first guest, which is Barry Irvine, who is the founder of one of our Facebook groups that many of you probably are on. And so I'd like to have Barry come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Rick. Morning, everyone. I had to put it on paper. It's the best way for me to stick to the point. I want to thank everybody for showing up, for standing with me in solidarity. We need to show the government that we need address. We need address to discrimination. Check, how's that? I just want to thank everybody for showing up, for standing with me in solidarity, for helping me address our government on the discrimination caused by our language laws right now, and basically to let them know that we want English language represented. That bilingualism isn't just about that institutional bilingualism doesn't promote bilingualism. It promotes government's agenda on what they think. And maybe we'll get some of them to come outside if we make enough noise. I'd like to thank our organizing committee who made this happen. Because I live in Campbellton and I can't bring tables with me and I can't bring all this material alone. The girls that were at the table, Tia especially, who's printed materials and incurred costs and helped with these signs and gone through great lengths to make this happen. There's many of them. We'll meet them all at the rally after this is done. That's at the Grand Harvey afterwards. What I'd like to remind, and Rex touched on the point, is that we're not anti-French in any way. I'm from a French family. We love our French brethren just as much as we love our English. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You're a New Brunswicker, you're a New Brunswicker. You're all Canadians, and that's what matters. So why are we here? Let's stick to the point. When government implements a policy that discriminates against the majority's best interests, and then hides behind those policies to avoid dealing with the majority, they misrepresent the majority, and that's why we're here. Because of the misrepresentation. They're misrepresenting more than that, though. They're misrepresenting democracy. And when we don't have a voice, we shouldn't be paying money for it. We shouldn't be paying our taxes if we don't have a voice. That's how the system works. We need a voice for official English language representation. That's why I organized this rally. That's why we came out, we traveled, we spent our money to get here. We need somebody to stand up, and we need somebody to say, bilingualism is for both English and French, not just French. We need a voice for English heritage funding. When we have 17 million announced for English languages and French languages sector, and every recipient on the list turns out to be a French recipient, that's not the languages sector. We need a voice for English municipalities. When everything around us is turning French, and you're calling that bilingualism, that's institutional bilingualism, not my bilingualism. We need a voice for English education. When language arts suddenly gets taken off the menu and our kids have to go to an English school, their distinct educational institution, and take 80% French, that's not bilingualism. That's forced. That's not choice. I've offered proposals. I've submitted proposals. There's tiered learning levels. There's things that we can do that we don't have to force our kids. When my child comes home with 100% across the board on every topic, every subject, and I tried to speak French to him and he said, "Dad, come on, give me a break. I had enough of that today." That's not bilingualism, I'll tell you that. That's bullying. And one of the most important points I'd like to say is we need a voice for English jobs. We're not a bunch of bums. We're not all here because we don't have a job. There's people that work here. There's people that work just as hard and pay just as much taxes. Majority taxes that I'd like to add. But when we're told that there's 8 new jobs coming out, but you've got to be bilingual, I'm sorry, but that's not my version of bilingualism. I know how to speak French. Not a lot, but I can speak French. My family's French. We speak French when I'm at home, they speak French. I address them in English. Nobody's ever jumped off the couch and said, "You're assimilating me." Never. Bilingualism is about interconnectivity. It's about our communities, and it's not about government telling us what they think languages should be. That's special agendas. That's hidden agendas that have nothing to do with our languages. That's promoting one side, exactly. Look, I'm telling you, democracy is more than us getting out once every 4 years, American X for the wrong crook or the right crook. That's not what democracy is. We're not running our government, we're the people. You're supposed to be our voice. When I write to you and you don't write back to me and say, "That's official languages, lad," that's not bilingualism. That's government telling me, "Look, if you're not French enough, I'm sorry, I can't help you out. Give me your money." We need to stop apologizing for being English. English is the dirty word. I'll stand toe-to-toe with anybody, I don't care what language they speak. If you tell me I can't have something because I'm English, I'm going to tell you something in French you don't want to hear. That'll be my bilingual. Democracy means representation of majority interests. Democracy means representation through taxation. The majority voice demands to be represented. It's time to talk, or it's time to stop our taxes. Our families are bilingual, our communities are bilingual, our history is bilingual. But institutional bilingualism, we gotta end that. That's gotta stop. That's wrong. That's not bilingualism at all. It's beyond reproach. You can't talk about it. Anybody that does is shot down. We can't have a voice, and all of a sudden they're told, "You're bad, apologize. Don't mention it, don't look at it, don't talk about it." And if we're not gonna look at the problem, we're not gonna find those opportunities, I'll guarantee you. And that's how we have to do this. That's why we had to come out here today. If they're not gonna talk to us, we're going to show up on the doorstep and say, "Look, we need to talk." We're not troublemakers. We're not asking you for anything that we don't pay for. You don't get to tell us what's going on. We tell you what we need. And if you're not going to give us what we need, we're not going to give you what you want. Give me back my taxes. We're not promoting interpersonal relations. And when I hear the Acadian societies stand up and say, "Well, we have a bunch of African people that we brought over here, and they're called Afro-Acadians, and they represent French Canada, and that's bilingualism." Well, I'm going to tell you something that you might not know. I'm an Acadian. I come from Acadian blood. My grandmother was Babineau. The first person to ever sew an Acadian flag was Marie Babineau. Guess who my heritage belongs to? My father was Bunny Irvine. He was 5'2", and he didn't know he wasn't 10 feet tall. That man never backed down from a good fight or a bad fight. He stood up for what he believed in, and that's how I was taught. And I feel like the funniest little fella coming out here today. I'm not a politician. I'm nothing. I'm just one guy that said, "What the hell is that? That's not bilingual." Look, there's so many contradictions if you look at it. If you look at what is and what is claimed, you're going to see that's not bilingualism. That's not what we signed on for. Nobody that I know of has ever said we don't want bilingualism. We don't want to take anything away from French people. We want them to have their French schools. We want them to be able to educate their children in their language. Nobody's ever said stop their, and nobody has ever tried to stop me from speaking English. But when I'm in my community and I can't be served in a store because they know I'm an English rights activist, when people walk up to me and intimidate me and try to stop me from walking into a store, they're trying to stop the wrong fella. That's my store just as much as it is yours. Don't tell me that I'm not something. I'm a Canadian. If I was in my military, I would have fought and died for my country. I still will. That's who I am. That's what I was raised to be. A proud Canadian. And why should I feel less proud because I'm English? You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to think that you're better than me because you know how to speak French. Je peux parler en français aussi. C'est ce que je veux. I won't speak French because you think I'm supposed to speak French to you. I'll speak French because I want to help you. Don't tell me I have to speak it. Never tell me I have to do it. My Constitution has told me you are never meant to all learn how to speak French and English. But if you come to the government, we'll be able to serve you in the language of your choice. When you take that choice away, you're no longer promoting bilingualism. Institutional bilingualism is not promoting bilingualism, I guarantee you that. It's promoting an agenda, and we all know what that agenda is. There is good news. We're here. We made it. Not all of us made it, but what you see here is not all of us. I'll guarantee you that. What you're not seeing here today are a lot of people in a lot of different places outside of New Brunswick. They're watching. They're waiting. They're meeting. And they're going to rally. And they're going to rally next week. And then they're going to rally when it's time for an election. And they're going to write. And they're going to get on board with us. Everybody's getting on board with this because they know New Brunswick's not promoting true bilingualism or pure bilingualism. And I'm sorry, but I can't be called an Anglo-Acadian, and the Acadian society won't even acknowledge me simply because I'm English. And if they think promoting heritage is promoting African French people and wherever French people, and that's supposed to be Canadian values and Canadian bilingualism, I don't want any part of it. I want to be part of a Canada that doesn't care what you speak. When you have a 1.1 million Punjabi, and they can't have a school for themselves, but you got 200 French people and they got 2 schools. That's not minority representation, I'll guarantee you that. That is not minority representation. If you want to say it's an official language, well, every Canadian is official. If you're a Canadian, you're official, I'm sorry. This is promoting something other than. What do we do? What do we need to do? We need more leaders to question duality costs without being forced to back down. Without being chastised or reprimanded by the Premier, by an education minister and an Attorney General who wants to appeal everything and create French-only environments. We have enough of them. We have enough. I'm from one, I'll tell you. Every French community around me is amalgamated its services. They don't accept English in bilingualism, they accept French in bilingualism, and that's not promoting pure bilingualism. That's promoting supremacy. And I won't stand for that, I guarantee you that. I'm no better than any French person or English person. I don't care if you're bilingual. My hat's off to you. I can speak German, I can speak Italian, I can speak Swedish, I can ask for 2 beer in just about any language, actually. I can ask a girl to dance, but I already got one. I don't dance with any other girls. What else do we need? We need mayors to work with. And we seen what happened to the mayor of this town, didn't we? As soon as he mentioned it. And he didn't say anything bad about bilingualism. Wasn't bad, it wasn't taboo. What did he say? Duality. Costs. Our money, our expenses, our government. Not their, not yours, not one person's, not one side. Our government, our taxes, our money.
Power to the people!
We need MLAs to represent us, not to support us, not to say they're there. Oh, I feel your pain. I don't care what you feel. I put my name next to your name. I put my little X. And now you're going to tell me that you don't represent me because the Acadian Society is going to give you more money than I can give you. Well, my little money, combined with your little money, and your little money, and lots of those little monies, is what makes all our programs, what creates this system. And that's more than an X on a piece of paper. And that's what we have to start telling them. We want more than support. We're not here for support. We're not holding our hands up for something. We don't ask you for something we didn't deserve. We're here because we pay taxes for services. And when all our services start becoming French, all our communities start becoming French, when we're all told that we have to speak French to get a job, how are you promoting belonging? You're not promoting anything. leave it at that. I get too excited. I'm a writer. I'm not a speaker, I'll tell you that. Look, the fact that we came here, the fact that we're all standing up and saying the same thing. Nobody is saying anything against anybody. Nobody is saying take away anybody's anything. All we're saying is that we need to address our government. We're not saying take away the system. I'm not going to do anything to take away something from my family, from my friends, from my community. I'll guarantee you that. I love my family. I love my community. I've always bragged since I've been home from England that I get the biggest kick in the world. When I go in, I sit down in a cafe, and all of a sudden, there's somebody talking Mi'kmaq next to me. And then there's somebody talking French on the other side. I like that. I like that. I like being part of different communities. I like the fact that there's other people represented. I don't like the fact that when I sit down someplace and I don't speak French, everybody closes me out. I don't like that when I write to my government, and my government won't even answer me. And they won't even acknowledge that I've got a problem. We're here to do it together, and that's what we want. If they're not going to represent us, if we can't have a voice in government, and languages it's intertwined in everything. It's not just about one thing or another. We have a whole bunch of objectives. We have proposals that we've been submitting. We're showing them that we have suggestions. We can change the system without removing a system. But when you won't listen to that and you insist on forcing this institutional bilingualism, you're doing more to damage bilingualism.